Let me take a time out to say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Those of you also viewing via GBN TV, good morning to you. It's Friday. It's the 6th day of September, 2024. It's to the point. I'm your host, GT, with you this morning. I'll be with you until it's at 10 a.m. We usually do this program just for an hour, and sometimes we do get a little overtime, if time permits, that we do so. Let me say good morning to those of you via social media platforms, whether it's the Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning. Welcome. Of course, to one and all. And certainly thanks for being with us this morning. This morning, our guest on the program, of course, the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. We have, of course, Mr. Jude Bartholomew. Let's go over to Mr. Bartholomew and say good morning. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome. How are you doing this morning? Mr. Bartholomew, good morning.
And such, and I look forward for an exciting and entertaining program this morning.
All right, welcome once again. As usual, I always give you the opportunity to make that opening remark in reference to, of course, you always like to take the opportunity to send out those greetings to the teachers and students, because those school has just reopened. We're expecting, of course, is it sometime next month, National Teachers Day, or the sort of that? I'm sure there's some opening remarks you would like to cast before we get into the meat of the conversation this morning.
Yes, thank you so very much. And I also like to take the opportunity to ask Almighty God to bless this program and to give me the wisdom from on high, to give us the wisdom from on high with the gift of the Holy Spirit to be able to speak without fear or without favor. And I want to take the opportunity to greet our nation, our people, our citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique, also to greet our teachers wherever they are. At this difficult moment, we know that we have the beginning of a new school year, a new school term, where teachers, students, parents are really excited to send their children and to school, and teachers are looking forward and committed to do a wonderful job in spite of the situation. So I just want to greet everybody, those who are listening on the various mediums, and so that we'll have a wonderful program this morning. And we look forward to an exciting time and a wonderful time in the Grenada Union of Teachers, our members, teaching the nation's children and doing what we have to do. I also want to take the opportunity for our people, especially the teachers and citizens of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, Grenada. We know that we have been struck by a Hurricane Beryl, and we know the tremendous devastation that was caused in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, and the suffering and the pain that the parents, families, teachers, students, the whole education system is undergoing at this time. So we just ask you to be strong. We had Hurricane Ivan and such, and Grenada has rebound, and we are very confident that we're going to rise again. So let us work together for the common good so that we can rise again together.
All right. Thank you so much there. We know Hurricane Beryl has passed. It's a post-Hurricane Beryl. Lots have happened, especially for Sister Isles of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique. St. Patrick, the northern part of the island, may not have felt the full brunt of Hurricane Beryl, but there was some of destruction there. Now, from a GT perspective in terms of schools, what are some of the concerns you may like to start off with this morning, if it so fits, before we get into the brunt? Let's have some of the concerns that the GT is having as respect to school reopening. I know there's lots of concerns still that you may like to speak of. If we could start off on that note this morning.
I'm hearing some of the words that you're saying on your end. So can you just kindly repeat?
I'm not sure what's the reason, but I was saying with the blunt of Hurricane Beryl, in affecting our sister isles of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, St. Patrick, the northern part of the island. I'm assuming the Grenada Union of Teachers may have a lot of concerns in terms of school being reopened. There are still a lot of schools who may not have been fully back up and running, especially the northern part and in the sister isle of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique. Let's speak about some of those concerns to get the conversation rolling up this morning. I hope you were able to hear me.
Yes, and thank you very much. And you could imagine that our teachers, the Grenada Union of Teachers, our members, have various concerns even before the passage of Hurricane Beryl. And so with Hurricane Beryl now coming, you could understand what our teachers and our students and our parents are facing. Is a really difficult situation over in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, even for the northern part of the island, St. Patrick's, but our hearts really go out and feel it for the education system, what is happening, the devastation in Carriacou.
We maybe experienced a bit of a connection problem this morning for some reason.
So we saw for our own selves what was happening. And can you imagine a situation with all roof down? Many of the teachers, almost all the teachers, would have lost their roof, lost their homes. The children, their family lost their homes and such. You have a situation where schools are supposed to be operating and going back to normal, that schools are now hurricane shelters. There are still persons probably living in certain schools still. And so you have a situation there over in Carrico where school, there is not a state of normalcy because school, based on the situation, cannot be reopened at this particular time. You have situations there where we meet our teachers. I think last week we went up to Carrico, the Grenada Union of Teachers, and had a conversation with our members, and we see what is happening there. Our teachers are complaining about stress, the stress level, the anxiety. Can you imagine? They lose their home, they lose their everything. The children lose their home. You have a situation where you cannot get adequate water supply, electricity.
Our apology once again to our listeners and the viewers this morning.
And the stress level, not only for our teachers, but for our students, for our parents, and the citizens of Carrico and Pitimatnik, is something that we have to take note of. And so we're asking here that the Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada, in terms of the reopening of school for Carrico and Pitimatnik, to assess the situation. And we want everybody to go back to school in whatever form or whatever fashion. But because of all these situations and such, we have to tread carefully, cautiously, and so we should be working together. And the Grenada Union of Teachers is doing its part. But I must say, one of the setbacks that we have, although we'll go into that conversation, is with the Ministry of Education. We are certain that the Ministry of Education is doing their part over in Carrico and Pitimatnik and even in Grenada here. What is our major concern? That you have a major devastation as such, like a hurricane, and the impact of over in Carrico and Pitimatnik, and the Ministry of Education have never had a dialogue or conversation with the Grenada Union of Teachers on the way forward. And that's the situation that we face. How do we go forward? What do we do? What is the planning? Not only for Carrico and Pitimatnik, but even for the reopening of school. Never had a discussion with us, a conversation met with the Grenada Union of Teachers to say, well, this is the plans that we have. How can we work together? How can we go forward with education? And this is our concept.
Okay, great. Now, what were you expecting as the Grenada Union of Teachers? What were you expecting in terms of that discussion with, the Ministry of Education, for instance, especially the Minister of Education? We may have lost that a bit of a connection there once again.
We're learning from Ivan the experience that will come from Hurricane Ivan. So in the sense that the Ministry of Education must have had a plan or probably intention, even if they didn't announce it yet or announce it gradually for a period of time for when school should reopen. So the Ministry of Education should now remember the Grenada Union of Teachers play an integral part and a partner with the Ministry of Education, with education and educating the nation's children. In fact, without the Grenada Union of Teachers and without our teachers, no real educational forward, because we are the facilitators, implementers of the education system. So whatever plans that the Ministry of Education has, if they don't dialogue with the Grenada Union of Teachers, they're not dialoguing with our teachers or our members, principal, teachers, the union and such, then we're not really working together. So by coming together and saying, well, this is the case, this is the situation that we have. We have a situation here where schools are down. The ministry may have their plans, but they come to the Grenada Union of Teachers and you meet and you dialogue and you say, this is the case, this is the situation. How do we go forward? What do? We don't have internet and such. Probably if we learn from COVID or we learn from whatever, the situation where to facilitate school, we went online. In that situation there, do we have that facility there, that capacity in the sense? All those discussions should take place with the GUT, with our teachers and our members. How you don't have electricity in all parts of Carrico and Pitimatnik, the tap.
Okay, we still having that drop from time to time.
What other modes and mediums can you use? The physical buildings are down. Where would people go to work? The teachers. You have persons in the shelter. What do you do? And such. These are the discussions that should be taking place, not only with the plans of the Ministry of Education, having a press conference and probably going out there, but the discussion should take place so everybody, all of us should be on the same page in what we do.
Tell me, what are some of the assistance that the GUT have been offering to its members, of course, post Hurricane Beryl?
All right, so host Hurricane Beryl, the Grenada Union of Teachers, as we always do, we always look after our members, so we took action.
All right. Mr. Bartholomew, if you're listening, but we're having a bit of a connection issue this morning. If you're listening, we're having a bit of a connection issue from time to time. We're having that drop from you for some reason. So our listeners and viewers, you may not be seeing it on your end, but from our end, we're having those drops. So let me take over that question once again. What is the duty have been doing to assist its members post-Hurricane Beryl? If we could start that over again.
Yes, the duty have done quite a lot. From the timely passage of Hurricane Beryl, the Grenada Union of Teachers took action. And so first of all, we realized that water was one of the most important things, because if you...
Oh boy, it seemed to be a little bit of a challenge this morning in terms of a connection.
So if the roof is down, everything is down. So we bought 150 cases of water and such, and we brought it up to Carrico together with lights, solar lamps for every teacher, water for every teacher, retired teachers and other persons. Every teacher got us a solar light. And every teacher got water, including retired teachers. Then we had a second phase in which we realized that we bought food hampers, and we went around through the various communities, length and breadth of Carrico and Pitimatnik, and distributed to our teachers, to our members, to the retired teachers and other persons. And then we went into a third phase where we dealt with the people of teachers and our members from St. Patrick's branch and other branch locally in Grenada who are affected by Hurricane Beryl. And we're in the fourth phase of our relief efforts. And in that effort now, we realize that it's psychosocial, and that's very, very important. The counseling, guidance and counseling, that's the phase where we are at with our members. So last week we had a wonderful church service in giving God thanks, because we recognize even if we give out all the food, we give out all the water, we do all the different things that we do and such, we still have to go to God, because only God can really and truly take us out of that situation. So we had a wonderful session with Pastor King, was basically the facilitator there, and such a religious component of it, and psychosocial healing, and all the different ways that we could get to that. So it was a wonderful service. And then we will go to a fifth phase now, where we're dealing with counseling, group counseling for our members, for our teachers who are affected and such, and if there are need in an individual cases for all teachers, both in Carrico and Pitimatnik and Grenada, the Grenada Union of Teachers will pay and facilitate that also. But also we are cognizant of the fact, not only teachers, but our students, even parents, because the students too are affected by Hurricane Beryl. So whatever affects the teachers affect the students. Whatever affects the students affect the teachers. So we recommend also, whether from a national perspective or whether from the Ministry of Education, to facilitate counseling sessions and all those things for our students and even for parents and such, so that we can work in harmony going forward.
All right, so we due for a break, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we continue with the discussion. Stay with us, folks. It's to the point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us.
Get ready for non-stop cricket excitement as GBN brings you live coverage of this year's Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League. Please note there will be some adjustments to our regular programming lineup on Tuesday, September 3rd, Wednesday, September 4th, Thursday, September 5th, and Friday, September 6th. Transitions will be at 5:05 p.m. GBN television news will air at 6 p.m., followed by a repeat right after the CPL match. And don't miss the rebroadcast of transitions after the news repeat. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere with the best in sports coverage. Stay tuned and stay informed with GBN.
Football fans, get ready! The CONCACAF Nations League is back, and the action is coming to the Kirangi James Athletics Stadium. Mark your calendars for 2 back-to-back match days that will have you on the edge of your seat. On September 6th, it's a doubleheader you won't want to miss. At 5 p.m., it's St. Lucia versus Curacao, followed by Grenada taking on St. Martin at 8 p.m. The excitement doesn't stop there. On September 9th, Curacao battles St. Martin at 5 p.m. And then Grenada faces St. Lucia at 8 p.m. Tickets are just $25 for adults and $10 for children. Grab yours at Chucky's Bar, Grenadian Optical, Gittins Healthcare Pharmacy, the GFA office, or online at gotofet.com. And yes, tickets will be available at the gate. So bring the whole family and let's rally around our senior men's national team, the CONCACAF Nations League. Football like you've never experienced before.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. With me this morning, I have the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. That's Mr. Of course, Jude Bartholomew with us this morning. Mr. Bartholomew, welcome back once again to the program. My next question to get this of course, the conversation rolling off once again. You spoke earlier about, of course, the GUT visiting the Sister Isles of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I'm assuming you had a look at some of the devastation that have taken place in terms of the schools and so forth. In conversation with the teachers, per se, what was some of the immediate, of course, assistance that you saw some of the teachers was asking for in terms of getting the students back to school and so forth, if it's possible in the interim? What are some of the concerns that was raised in conversation with teachers in the Sister Isles of Carriacou and Petit Martinique in reference to getting schools back up and running if it's possible in terms of the devastation that has taken place?
All right, so thank you very much for that question. And I must say there is a little difficulty this morning with the internet and such because we are breaking up on both sides. So I'm not hearing everything that you are saying, and probably the general public is not really hearing everything that I am saying. So I don't know where the problem is coming from. But thank you very much for that question. Because we always go to empower our members, and knowing the situation that had happened with Hurricane Beryl, we went up before the beginning of the new school term or the new school year, knowing also that we did not hear anything or any plans from the Ministry of Education, and that's where we are having some problems, and that's where the teachers are also having some problems. I think the Ministry of Education has some dialogue with the principals over in Carriacou and Petit Martinique very early in the game. But after that, we, the Grenada Union of Teachers, was not invited. A lot of the teachers was not part of that discussion. And that is the grievance from the teachers. Now, I'm speaking on behalf of the teachers. I'm the president expressing what they say and their concern. Many times you see the Ministry of Education is bypassing and they're not coming to the teachers because the teachers basically are the ones who are to implement. So the meeting that we have was a very successful one. We gave them a chance to speak and teachers spoke frankly. One of the problems that they stressed out, they are very anxious. They're going through so much problems. And so as a result of that, they have some difficulty in terms of they don't know when school might be reopened. And so they're asking for psychosocial support, the counseling. This is one thing, not only for them, but for the students, because they recognize the students are experiencing and have experienced Hurricane Beryl also. And so they want counseling and psychosocial support from the union, from the Ministry of Education, and others to adequately prepare the students for back to school. And in addition to that, the water problem. So the teachers are saying, if you're going to reopen school at any time, what about the water problem? There's a shortage of water in school throughout the entire island. How are you going to flush toilet? How are you going to do a lot of the things? You're cooking. If something happened, what to take place in the entire cleaning of school? So water is a very, very important component for the reopening of school. And yes, there might be water in Carriacou, but there is still a shortfall. And how do you deal with that? So guidance and counseling, you have the water problem. Then they talk about the garbage. Right? If you want to recognize also, yes, the government and other private entities, you want to all the galvanize and all the trees and the debris, waste materials and such that pile up from scatter all over the place from Hurricane Beryl. The government or Ministry of Education and other persons, they have done probably a wonderful job in collecting those things from the streets and from all over the place. But if you observe where they store it, and probably there is a reason for that, because probably they don't have adequate facilities and place to store the thing. So they store those stuff in the playing field, playing ground, but the playing field is close to almost all the schools. And so how do you reopen school now? Because health and safety is a very important component also in the workplace. And so you see a hazard there, because all this garbage, all this stuff are right in the playground, close to schools. Children, if school reopened, children might be running across this place with nails, with different things, with galvanized sharp objects, and you could get caught. The same thing for the teachers too. But not only that, infestations of rodents. So I don't know what could happen, what plan the government, what plan the Ministry of Clerical and Diplomatic Affairs they have, or the Ministry of Education to move this garbage and such, and all those things that are compiled in plain field right across Clerical and Diplomatic, close to schools, what plans they have to get rid of it, because it's a health and safety matter for the European schools, and teachers express concerns for that. Teachers also express concerns about the transportation. So they are saying that the hurricane are almost damaged the buses and other transportation and such. So how, especially if you have schools that are down, and let's say you have a few schools in operation in Hillsborough, how basically the teachers and students get from one point to the next. So the Ministry of Education, government of Grenada, Clerical and Diplomatic Affairs and such have to look at that problem, which transportation. And a concern was raised about Dover Government School. The teachers are very, very much concerned on Dover Government, because that's the only school in Clerical, I think, was completely flattened by Hurricane Beryl. So what will take place there? And I think discussion probably only in the state be a problem, and you can move a whole community, a lot of children, teachers, and displace them like that. How do you function with that? So that is a major concern. And so what we ask in the Ministry of Education to do in that aspect, to clean out, probably try to clean out the garbage and all the different debris and things that are placed in Dover government compound, because Dover government was a mark for a new school, a new building. And so now is probably the best time. You might be able to start the new building now, but to put a board building or some sort of ply building somewhere in the compound, Dover compound there, so that the community, the school community and such, the teachers and the students could go to school right there, instead of that inconvenience of trying to go other places. And these are some of the problems. Electricity, how do you function? The teachers express, if you decide to go, let's just say, face-to-face partly, and then also virtual. You don't have consistency in internet flow in Clerical and Diplomatic and electricity. So how do you deal with that? Another concern, a lot of the children lost the tablets during Hurricane Beryl. No, the teachers said that the Ministry of Education said they're going to replace it. But if they replace the tablet and such, and they do not have electricity, they do not have internet, well, how would they use it? So those are the thinking, and those are the thoughts and the major concerns that are expressed by our members. And what do you do? And they are saying, even if you say, well, let's have school in some other forms, students are displaced, they can't get probably adequate food, adequate stuff. How do you deal with that with a school feeding program where schools are demolished, different things like that? So you know what is happening over in Clerical and Diplomatic, where still government and other private entities have to assist in helping to feed the people, feed the students. Would you have an adequate meal or school feeding program for the children? How would it be prepared? Because you don't have water, you don't have all the other adequate facilities in schools and such. And how would children really and truly concentrate on learning when they do not have a roof over their head? The parents do not have a roof over their head. Some of them are still in shelters. And that comes to another problem that we have. If you realize in Grenada and in the Caribbean region, hurricane season is becoming more and more intense. And so what is happening, because of limited resources, you see what is being used for hurricane shelter schools. That is becoming a major problem, because when people go in hurricane shelters, then it should really be for probably a few days before and after the hurricane has passed. But you see, most of the times now, the education institution, our schools, are becoming basically a home for people, because they don't have a choice. They don't have somewhere else to go or somewhere else to live. So it's very difficult for the Ministry of Education or government to chase those people away, and you can blame them. And so it becoming a hindrance in itself for basically to start school. And so government, Ministry of Education, private entities have to look forward. They have to stretch their imagination. We as citizens to say, well, schools really and truly, I think going forward that the Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada should look at ways where you build other centers, because this hurricane is becoming very intense and you're going to really need places for people to shelter. So the question should be, should schools really be used going forward? Because if every time you have a disaster, if something struck again, we're still in the hurricane season, what is going to happen? And that is the thinking going forward for our citizens, for our people, that government should start looking at now, building other community centers throughout and the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitimatnik. It doesn't have to be in every village, but it could be in whatever strategic areas, so that people can go there, so that a lot of people living in a shelter. And the other thing is that if people living in a shelter, you expose the environment there to all sorts of things. We're not saying that, but health and safety is very important for students, for teachers, for the school community, which means that you have to do a lot of deep cleaning. You have to almost sometimes do a lot of restoration, because sometimes the good intention of the Ministry of Education, of government, people going to school and the school may not be damaged by the hurricane, but people are damaging the building, damaging stuff, damaging things. And by the time you leave there and you're ready to start school, the school at the area there has become a disaster area, not from the hurricane nuts, but by people themselves. And so government have to look at that. So there are many problems and other things that teachers are already concerned about. A roof over the head, going to work and they don't have a roof over the head, they don't have a roof sometimes even in schools and such, and so many things and so many problems. How do they deal with that for the children, for the teachers? And they looked at Pitimatnik. You have children, especially the secondary school children, going to school in Carriacou from Pitimatnik. And so with the jetty being damaged now, how do you get the children from Pitimatnik coming to Carriacou? So there are quite a number of issues and problems there that need to address. And I will say that another concern was raised that 5 teachers from Carriacou and Pitimatnik got to go to Teachers College this year. We really want to applaud the Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada, for the restoration of Teachers College full-time. And both secondary school teachers and the primary school teachers, of course, will be going to Teachers College, I think, from next Monday. But the teachers, they are happy over in Carriacou and Pitimatnik, because that's the first time probably they got this large amount. But there is another problem there. A lot of the teachers all the teachers who are going now to Teachers College, they lost their homes. And so they have to concentrate now into getting the money, getting the funding and such to build back their homes and such. And at the same time, when they come $1,500 to pay for rent in Grenada for a teacher who comes from Carriacou, coming to Grenada Teachers College. And so we're asking here, we're making a plea for the government of Grenada, the Ministry of Education, to try to see what you can do to alleviate that aspect and concern of these 5 teachers from Carriacou and Pitimatnik who will be coming to Grenada and to start Teachers College. You know, you have the housing, the Chinese houses in St. David's there, and those houses are there still, not really and truly occupied. Can government think you have it in St. George's and you have probably other buildings or what the case may be, rooms, and see what government can do with Carriacou and Pitimatnik affairs and with the Ministry of Education, the government, to think deep to really assist these 5 teachers who are coming and who will be coming to college to alleviate that suffering, to give them some place to stay freely. The next concern that teachers raise, the Ministry of Education and such, they probably make a request and say, well, if you have family down here, that students could come to Grenada, leave Carriacou and come to Grenada to go to school. Now, Carriacou is a close network family, oriented. And these are some of the concerns that parents, students don't really want to leave the community, the environment, and such, and to come to another place. The Ministry of Education, yes, it might be very well intent because it wants school to go ahead. They don't want the children to probably stay back too much and such to negatively affect their education. But you have to give that some thought out process properly when you're displacing and bringing people, whether it might be teachers or it might be students, moving from Carriacou and Petit Martinique to come to Grenada and such. What is the support system, the mechanisms, and all those things? When the parents are not there, other persons are not there to assist them, to guide them, and even to protect them, and they don't hear. So you have to look for whether or not behavioral problems, learning difficulties, anxiety, stress, and all those things that you may not be looking at and such, and those things to come to play. So there are a lot of situations and circumstances over in Carriacou and Petit Martinique that doesn't facilitate basically for school in its normal construct to take place right now. And the question is now, what do we do in terms of going forward to deal with this dilemma or this situation here, where we have a situation that is of that tremendous magnitude?
All right. Mr. Buffett, we drew for a break. Let's take it once again. We come back. When I come back, I'm not sure if you hear me clearly. I want us to speak about your take. Of course, you've been up there, had that personal view. The scope of work that would needs to be done in terms of the repairs to schools and so forth in Carriacou. Let's take a look at that. Of course, just a brief look at it when we come back, because there's so much to talk about. I know Carriacou issues is certainly going to be dominating our conversation this morning. But after the break, when we come back, we're certainly going to get into that with competition. What's your take on the scope of work that needs to be done? Do you think temporary structures could be put in place just to get students back to school and so forth when we come back after the break? Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Served Grenada for decades.
Get ready for non-stop cricket excitement as GBN brings you live coverage of this year's Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League. Please note there will be some adjustments to our regular programming lineup on Tuesday, September 3rd, Wednesday, September 4th, Thursday, September 5th, and Friday, September 6th. Transitions will be at 5:05 p.m. GBN television news will air at 6 p.m., followed by a repeat right after the CPL match. And don't miss the rebroadcast of transitions after the news repeat. GBN with you anywhere and everywhere with the best in sports coverage. Stay tuned and stay informed with GBN.
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. With me this morning, we have Mr. Jude, of course, Bartholomew, the president of Grenada Union of Teachers. And we're talking, of course, issues that are in relations to the post-Hurricane Beryl in Carriacou when it comes to, of course, the students returning to school. Mr. Bartholomew, welcome back. My question before the break, I was relating to the scope of work that you have seen on personally. Of course, you visited Carriacou with other members of the Grenada Union of Teachers. What the scope of work as in terms of repairs to Carriacou? What do you think can be done in the immediate, especially to assist the youngsters getting back to school? Are you getting that cooperation, of course, in terms of from the ministry, in terms of, as relating to the scope of work, sharing information and so forth as relation to that? Could you speak about that, please, sir?
So this year is a grievance in itself like that. The Ministry of Education might be well intent. But as I said, the last official meeting that we had an engagement with the Ministry of Education was just before conference, duty conference, and that was in March. and we have not had any other official engagement. There are other little engagements, so we have no idea about no plans for certain things in terms of building, school refurbishment and all those things, and the plans from the Ministry of Education. We might just hear something announced in a press conference, no dialogue and such, so we're not on the same page. But over in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, with the scope and the magnitude of the situation of the damages that have been done in the entire island, just building back or putting up structures or building would not be enough to deal with that, because you have to deal with almost everything. How do you deal with everything? Yes, while it's important to repair some of the schools that have been damaged to make sure that your stats and such, it is very important to do that. But at the same time, there must be a holistic plan, because you could have 10 buildings, school buildings in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique. If the same other conditions that I spoke about, the stress, the anxiety, the different things, parents, they do not have home to house the children cannot sleep or rest properly, and you have no internet, you have no water, you have no other things. What is the sense of the building? So you must build, you must repair and such, which is good. But while you build and while you do all those things, you must accommodate or try to put in place to fix all the other problems. Everything may not be done at the same time, but it's a holistic approach to deal with these issues. And that is where we are. So I think what the teachers did say, and even some principals over in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, and not only there, in Grenada, teachers and principals are very much concerned that yes, you have, and that trend was even in the previous administration, and you have not stopped. You've seen it now. Very well intentioned in building schools. But what the teachers and principals observe, the scope of work, nobody telling them anything. So you're designing a school, you're designing something, you put in what here, the teachers are not involved, the principals are not involved, and they're complaining and they're saying to the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada, all that they're seeing most of the times, I'm not saying it happening all the time, but what they're seeing is that somebody, some contractor or somebody come on the school compound and tell them that they come to do work and they start work, and the teachers and the principals are not involved. So that is a recipe for disaster in itself, because there must be a plan, there must be something. The school should see the scope of work. And I would say, for example, Mount Pleasant RC School, when I heard that school collapsed, we marveled, because the Grenada Union of Teachers went there and visited that school and many schools. The school was in repairs and they repaired that school. That school is like a new school just about a few months ago or last year. And when we look at the roof and the kind of old wood, old stuff, ply that was placed in the roof, that we spoke to the principal and the members of staff. We said, how come that is happening? Who are the people from communications and works and Ministry of Education and other entities that are facilitating and observing what the people who are repairing and building schools, what material, what it is that they are using? Principals are calling me now and they're saying the schools are infested with termites. The schools are infested with this. Buildings you just put up falling down. So it means that something is not right. And so we're asking the Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada, and such too, when you're building and such, is a good thing and we appreciate that. But involve the union, involve the teachers, involve the principal. They will see and they will tell you. They will give you guidance. They will see if something is wrong here, if it is right here. And so there is nothing wrong in terms of involving. So that is where we are. Yes, and they must repair and such. Everybody may not be able to go back to school at the same time. Some schools might be more advanced. There might be electricity in certain places and such, and it cannot be in full. So you could have a slow start dealing with you coming to school probably in certain areas. When other things are done, you meet other measures and such and thresholds, and you might be able to say, well, okay, we can start with the Form 5 children, the Form 4, the Form 5. You start slowly and such. You don't just the first week or the first month, you go starting pushing academic education thing. You have to take it slow, a process. And so the children become confidence again and such, and you look at all the needs. And that's how the situation would be. We recommend probably a slow start in buildings and schools that are in a situation where very limited repairs have to be done, and so that they can facilitate that. Right. As we say for Dover, we would not like for Dover government school or that community to be lost. us. We want the teachers to be there, and that community is going to affect them. So we recommend a ply building or something there temporarily, probably with tents and other things, to facilitate a temporary approach, because that Dover government school was earmarked and done for a new building. So what God has done and nature has done, the government had to spend money in terms of breaking down Dover government school and a lot of money. So nature with burial, throw it down for them already, so they can't complain about that. They just have to clear the debris there and put plans in place to really build that new school.
All right. You, of course, in our last conversation a couple of months ago, there was several issues that you, of course, spoke about, especially where, as reference to, security in school, the school feeding program, issues with the cleaners, compensation, of course, for a master's degree and so forth, late payments. Have there been any solutions to any of these issues you spoke of, especially in our last conversation?
Yes, before I branch up to that, I just want to say one more thing about Carriacou and Pitimatnik, and just permit me. The teachers, when after Hurricane Beryl and we went up there, just after that, who we saw on the ports, we saw teachers with the Red Cross. These teachers whose houses were damaged and such, they were on the port there, they had on the Red Cross stuff and they helping people. With the report that we got, it was the teachers or some of them who were volunteering to cook food and such to feed the community, even if their homes was damaged. It was the teachers who were really and truly and principals to man sometimes together with NADMA and such, they come in to assist in the schools and such with the people who didn't have a place to stay. So the teachers did a wonderful job, and that's the sacrifice and commitment that our nation teachers, whether in Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitimatnik, made. So the teachers in the meeting did express their disappointment. I don't want to turn it into an issue with the statement of the minister. They feel kind of hot in the sense when they heard about the problem with water and food and probably even houses where they are working and they're getting paid, and also so they could buy their own thing. In a disaster, everybody comes to in the same level. The rich comes down and beg for food. The poor comes up. So a disaster brings the whole nation together at one level. There is no distinction between rich and poor, and there is no distinction between who have money and who have not, because sometimes you have the money, you cannot spend it. No place is open or whatever. And so everybody comes at the same level. So I think we have to rise above that. It's an unfortunate comment and such, because the support from the teachers and such towards in Carriacou and Pitimatnik, towards probably this administration, towards a lot of things, is unquestionable. So I think it really hurt the teachers and such, and that is unfortunate, and that's where I would leave it there. So just go back and repeat what you were saying, asking about some of the other.
No, I was speaking in terms of some of the concerns that you may have, of course, mentioned in our last discussion a few months ago, as it relates to the school feeding program, security in schools, cleaners issues, compensation for teachers who may have obtained their master's degree and so forth, the issue of late payments. Have these problems been remedied in any way?
In a small way, there is some improvement, but teachers are still complaining at this time of late payments. I got a call even from a school, current government, where there is a teacher there. March is the last time she got paid, and we in September. And there are other persons who are really crying, no teachers. So I don't know what could be done and such. And what you've seen, in a sense, when the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers comes out and speak about these issues, we are not attacking anybody. We are not attacking any union. We are not attacking. What we are saying is that we have been pressing with these issues for long, even under the previous administration. And we were not looking, teachers are not looking when they really want change to come in at this time to experiencing the same difficulty as in that magnitude or even worse than what they have experienced before. And so when I come and I speak on what the teachers say. That is, I am the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. I am the mouthpiece. So I don't just come on a program and just say anything. I speak and I express without fear, without favor, without ill will what the teachers express. So that is a problem. Even with the masters and such, we have been pushing. We have not reached anywhere with that. We have not had a meeting for a long time. The Ministry of Education have to make some suggestions and representations to cabinets, because we were shocked, as we said, in the last meeting with the Minister for Education when they said that compensation for masters. There was a hole in it by the previous administration, and they said that they didn't know, and it was a shocker. This is a collective bargaining agreement between the Grenada Union of Teachers and the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada. And as they said, they have a standard or a condition. You do your degree and you do it in education, and there are so many persons who do the degree in education and they still cannot be compensated. So we're asking this administration to move quickly to settle this matter. There is a teacher from Carriacou and Petit Matnick, she cried. Bachelor's, you know. She did it in education from Leicester RC school. Since in 2021, she brought in her stuff for compensation for a bachelor's, and she studied. And up to now, she is saying that her family has been devastated with burial. Her family, her home demolished, and she really need that compensation and that monies, and so that she can build back her home and such. So this is a cry. We hope that the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada is taking note that there are a few persons who did their masters, they did their bachelors in education, and they have not yet still from all these years have not been compensated. But in coming now also, we have another issue here. Teachers have been successful in terms of Teachers College. We want to express gratitude to the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada. They will be starting Teachers College on Monday, so it's a positive, and we really thank God that we were able, the Grenada Union of Teachers, to restore Teachers College to full-time. However, there is a little grievance there. Whatever the process was and everything, there are some teachers who applied and they didn't get the opportunity for an interview or such, and that's why they're crying. We observe also that nobody really from schools for special education got the opportunity to go to Teachers College, and special education is a very important component of education for these schools, and so these teachers should be trained. If they don't get the opportunity to go to Teachers College, how would they become?
Okay, we have lost our connection there again. All right, go right ahead, sir. We're back.
We thank the Ministry of Education, we thank the government of Grenada for giving the teachers the opportunity to go to Teachers College. But going forward, we expect that teachers from special education, other places will get the opportunity, and teachers who are in the system also to take the opportunity. What we say to teachers who get the opportunity to make full use of it, to go to Teachers College and to settle down and to learn and so that you can live better off. So after these 2 years, you're really able to make a positive impact to education transformation and the holistic development of the nation's children. So these are some of the issues. We have issues also with job appraisal, and there are some matters of contention with the Ministry of Education, even sometimes with principals in schools and with teachers. And some teachers really and truly are shedding tears here. That job appraisal, your appraisal should not be a weapon against you. It should be a mechanism for growth, improvement, and such, to make you a better teacher. And what teachers are complaining about in their job appraisal, some of them are seeing negative reports, and sometimes they don't know about it. And you cannot write a negative report on a teacher without showing the teacher, no, what the teacher may have been wrong in. Sometimes the teacher might be at fault. We're not saying every teacher is perfect. There are a few teachers who play the fool. We're not saying that. And so if there is a justifiable reason why something negative should be on your job appraisal, so be it. But the principal or the DO or anybody else who have that report there should inform or show the teacher, and the teacher should get the opportunity, teacher or teachers, to write a comment and to say, I agree or disagree with what is written there, and they give their reason. So just as the principal writes, the teacher should give them the opportunity to write. But if you send them a job appraisal and you send it to the Ministry of Education, and something that should not be there, you did not show the teacher and you hide it, every teacher must know that it is their right. That is a right in the Education Act, to go down to the Ministry of Education to look at your files. And sometimes when you go down to the Ministry of Education, you're shocked and surprised to see that there is something there on your files that you don't know about, nobody tell you. And if that is the case, then you can write to the Public Service Commission to ask for that to be expunged, because you cannot put something negative on whether a principal appraisal or a teacher's appraisal or any worker without the knowing and without the knowledge. And another problem there that is vexatious and malicious, what you see is that if the principal writes a comments on the form, and then the teacher writes, there could be cases where the principal doesn't like what the teacher wrote, or the DO comes in the school, and when the DO watch the appraisal form, the DO doesn't like what the teacher writes. And the DO, no, not all the DOs that are doing it now, but the union is getting a lot of complaints from teachers with DO coming in schools with the appraisal and want to dictate to the teachers that they take out what they write. This is wrong. This is wrong. And these teachers are hurting, A lot of teachers are stressed with what is happening because they never expect these things under this administration to come back and happen when we were complaining in terms of what was happening in the previous administration. And I will say here, without fear or favor, when you see some of the things that is happening, there are some good things that is happening in education. There are some wonderful things that this administration are doing, and we give them praise for that. And the nation know that I don't hesitate in giving praise to the government when they do well and they do good. But also, when foolishness takes place, I don't hesitate to come out and say. And what is happening now? It makes the previous Minister of Education, in my opinion, looks like a queen. And so the teachers are expressing their disappointment in terms of the Minister for Education and other persons in the Ministry of Education, because what they're seeing is the same thing. The same problems over and over, which by now they thought that those things should have been fixed for us to go forward. So I don't know how the government of Grenada, how the Ministry of Education and other persons involved would really deal with this situation going forward. But I could tell you that every day our teachers are crying, they are stressed, they are crying out, and they are complaining. So we must meet, we must engage, or we must deal with that situation. TAMCC, we are in a situation with TAMCC there. When we go into a new collective bargaining agreement, we have a signed agreement for 2023 to 2025, and we asking the government of Grenada cabinet to consider paying the teachers of the TAMCC the retroactive payments. Some have been paid for the part of 2024, but they are still owed for the period 2023 to try to settle this matter. Pension reform for statutory bodies. I'm not going into pension reform for public officers and teachers. That was something that the court resolved. But for statutory bodies, we look forward with TAMCC coming on board, and they show that they're coming on board to secure pension, a just pension for lecturers in TAMCC and public officers, PW workers. And we appreciate that. For statutory bodies, that's what we see. We're having some problems, and teachers and public officers are complaining also with NS. What you're seeing there's a disparity and something is wrong there. And we're asking the government to look at it carefully. You have old age pension basically with NS moved that up to age 65. And then you have the government still with the legal age for retirement at 60. How do you resolve this disparity? So you say no. If you want to retire at, let's say, age before 60, you have to pay a penalty up to 20, 15, 20, 25%. And you're not really getting any big set of money for NS old age pension. So, and what do you do? If you want to wait until 65, can you imagine? If you retire at 60 and you don't want that penalty, you have to wait after you work hard for how many, 30 years, 40 years, and now you retire and you go home, and you're ready now to get your old age pension from NS without a penalty. You have to wait until 65. You're not working from 60 to 65. How does government reconcile the disparity? So we're asking them to look at it again. Look at it again. And we've seen here that it is very difficult for teachers after all the stress. A teacher's job is stressful, A principal's job is very, very stressful. And it is not easy. That's why the law was designed for pension, so that you could get pension at 50, at 55. Now you're going up to can a teacher work up to 65 in a classroom? How would you be able to teach? Wouldn't it be unfair for the nation's children? So government still have to look for that for public officers and teachers. How do you reconcile that situation between the disparity between NS, old age pension, which you can take at 60, but if you go further, you want it before, you want it at 60, and you don't want it to wait until 65, there is a penalty, and a severe penalty there, folks. And that is where we are with some of the difficulties and some of the problems that we are experiencing. We're not an enemy of the state. Teachers are sacrificing and making all their contribution towards the nation's children, going deep in their pockets. And that's what we want. We want to go quickly because we know time is coming to an end. You see the problem with dialogue with the Ministry of Education? The problem with dialogue. Look at what they came with now. After observing that probably they made an error there. When they have universal secondary education, we spoke about that. It is very well intentioned, and that is a weakness with probably this administration and the Ministry of Education. They have good plans and good stuff, and nothing wrong with that. The nation appreciate that, But with dialogue with the union, and with dialogue with teachers and principals, and with other stakeholders, you may not know it all. So when you discuss and you dialogue, you see weaknesses here. People put in strengths, they add to the thing to make it better. But when you go and do it for yourself alone, then you're going to leave out something that you did not see. No, universal education, everybody going to secondary school. Some of the children in the primary school, not to the fault of the teachers, because the education is not for teachers alone. It's a collective approach between teachers, parents, and students. And with all the different things that sidetracking the nation's children now, it is not easy for a teacher to teach the nation's children. You're trying the best. Sometimes you don't have the resources, you don't have everything, but teachers are trying the best. But when the Minister for Education, the Ministry of Education, and the government wants to look good, and they say every child must go to secondary school, the child didn't do well in CPA, but you're sending the child in secondary school. You're putting out a problem and you're transferring it now from the primary school and making causing hell and difficulty for the secondary school teachers. And that's what we were saying. If the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada came to the union and to teachers and say, we want universal education, can you tell us or help us what is the best way or the best approach that we can really achieve our goal or our objective? And we're going to look at it. Now they send a letter from the Ministry of Education telling the schools now that for children who are not doing too well in CP and such, you must keep them down. And the school now must organize programs now for these children. And the Ministry of Education should be able to see that. Because if you bring up the legal age for children from school living age from 16 to 18, why rush to send children who not really performing at the optimum as yet, and they could probably remain in the school for another year? Rush to just send them in secondary school when you extend the age in terms of a child could leave school. So when you discuss with everybody, then you look at strengths and you look at weaknesses and such, and you have a common way of dealing with some of the problems. And that is some of the things that we are saying. And we want more collaboration, more dialogue with the Ministry of Education. This Ministry of Education right now, they're bypassing the Grenada Union of Teachers and they're going straight to principals. Principals, I'm appealing to you because you are part of our union. And when the Ministry of Education bypass the union and bypass teachers, you know having problems on your shoulders, and when you cannot deal with it, it's the union you have to call. The union you have to call to deal with certain situations. So when the ministry comes with certain things, tell them you want union representation. You want your union to be there so that you have a discussion, because the union might see things that the principal or the school cannot see. And so we deal with that. And we have another problem, another issue with teachers are complaining when they do not get pay or they have some issues and they go down to the Ministry of Education. Some people, not everybody, and that's what I was saying. Some people, that is our issues and my right to discuss some of the problems that our members are having. The teachers are saying that some of the people down there are telling them, you call union, you call GOT, all right, well, we go deal with you and we will teach you a lesson. Those things are them around, because the duty, as far as I know, is in the Grenada Constitution, the Constitution of Grenada, the legitimate body to represent teachers and principals with any issue. So if a teacher is called to the Ministry of Education to be reprimanded, the duty should be able, they should have adequate representation. We're not saying that the teacher will be right all the time, but on the basis of that, we are calling for our teachers to step up. You have a responsibility to teach the nation's children holistic development. You are the fabric and the nucleus in which we develop our nation, our country. And so we continue the sacrifices that you make and to work deeper. Thank you, teachers and principals and the nation, because the teachers are doing a marvelous and a wonderful job, but there is always room for improvement. We wish the nation's children, we wish our teachers, principal, the Ministry of Education, and all of us the best year for a successful school year.
Of course, Mr. Bartholomew, tell us, there's a World Teachers Day coming up. What are some of the plans that are put on by the GUT? If you could share that information with us this morning before we take a wrap.
There's a World Teachers Day under the theme Empowering Educators, Strengthening Resilience, Building Sustainability World. And World Teachers Day is a day that is dedicated on October 5th for teachers all over the world. Teachers are special. Teachers are wonderful. Teachers are nice. And what we're saying from the GUT, we're asking all schools this year to just treat your teachers nice. We're asking the nation, the sacrifice that the teachers make, to remember that and show appreciation to our teachers, students, community, building, hotels, all right, transportation, buses, give the teachers free ride on that day. We are seeing hotels to organize and give passes for our teachers, free meals wherever possible. The community to treat the teachers wonderful on October 5th or on October 4th or whatever it is. So a collaborative approach. The Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada, let's treat the teachers nice and that they recognize and appreciate our teachers. And for Carriacou and Matnick, the teachers, treat them nice, give them more water, more this. Don't complain. And probably a little tax relief for the teachers over there who have to build their homes and other things like that. So look, government, dig deep and do everything you can. Ministry of Education, the entire nation, the students, parents, and show some appreciation and love to our teachers, because our teachers are committed towards education building and nation development.
Of course. Anything in closing? We are almost strapped for time this morning. Anything in closing before we take a wrap this morning?
Yeah, well, I just want to thank the nation, the citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, and Matnick. Like I say, I want to express gratitude to the government of Grenada. They are really and truly trying their best in situations with things that some of the collective bargaining agreement and such, they are doing their best to really do what they have to do to make sure that teachers get what they're supposed to get, and public officers, and I want to thank them for that. But I want to say, going forward, the Ministry of Education, dig deep, let us work together and such, and it is time to fix some of the problems and pay attention to the cry of the teachers. They are crying out, they want to work, they want to do well, but give them the tools, the mechanisms, and everything. And the teachers are saying, treat them with respect. Treat the teachers with respect. Yes, supervise, you could be and make sure that they do what they have to do, but you have to do it with love and treat the teachers with respect. And we ask the teachers to treat the students with respect and love and appreciation. And let's all work together for the well-being of Grenada, Carriacou, and Matnick. And I want to wish the people, the citizens, teachers, students, family of Carriacou and Matnick and in Grenada who have been negatively affected by Hurricane Beryl a speedy recovery, and may God continue to bless us all.
So, Bartholomew, I want to thank you a whole lot for being on the program this morning. Best wishes goes out to you also. Have yourself a great day, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Join us again for another edition. Of course, that will be next week. Until then, have a good one, folks. That's where we say goodbye.